Al-Fatiha. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والحمد لله الذي جعلنا من المتمسكين بولاية أمير المؤمنين والأئمة المعصومين عليهم السلام. والحمد لله الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله. ثم الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين، خاتم النبيين، شفيع المذنبين، حبيب الله العالمين، أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد. ما صل على محمد وآل محمد وعلى آل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين، ولعنة الله على أعدائهم أجمعين من يوم عداوتهم إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد، فقد قال الله عز وجل في كتابه الحكيم وهو أصدق القائلين: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ويوم يعض الظالم على يديه يقول يا ليتني اتخذت مع الرسول سبيلا، يا ويلتى ليتني لم أتخذ فلانا خليلا، لقد أضلني عن الذكر بعد إذ جاءني، وكان الشيطان للإنسان خذولا. آمنا بالله، صدق الله العلي العظيم. صل على محمد وآل محمد. Assalamu alaikum jami'an wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I begin in the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There is no doubt that it's due to His kindness and generosity that He provides for us opportunities such as these, where we gather in remembrance of Him, tabaraka wa ta'ala. It's nice to see many of you again today. The halls were empty the first 3 nights, but it's nice to see the friendly faces, and thank you for that introduction. It is pleasing to see the number of youth showing up tonight. You know, when I was asked to prepare this series of lectures, they told me to prepare for the youth, but don't alienate the adults. And till today, I was the only youth present, and I'm not even a youth. So it's nice to see the congregation come out, inshaAllah. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. We have been discussing the past 3 nights, and inshallah today and tomorrow, if God gives us enough life, how we can take the lessons from Karbala and apply it into our lives today. In other words, we live Karbala today. You know the famous line that we always say, Kullu yawmin Ashura, kullu ardin Karbala. Every day is Ashura, every land is Karbala. That has many levels of meanings to that. One of the main important meanings is that the lessons that happened in Karbala can be applied into our lives today, making our lives today like the life of Karbala, making today Ashura for each and every one of us. One such lesson that we're going to be discussing today that was clearly visible and we clearly saw in the tragedy of Karbala is the importance of good and loyal friends and companions that the Imam had. History has never seen the type of companions who are with Abu Abdullah alayhi salam. You know, it is said that on the night of Ashura, when the Imam had gathered all of his companions and family together, and when he gave one of the most beautiful sermons, and he said that the people of Kufa are after my blood. Yeah? Whether you are here or you are not here, it doesn't matter. Yeah? So I lift my allegiance from you, and I give you permission to go. At this time, Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas stands up, the children of Muslims stand up, and then one by one the companions begin to stand up. Muslim ibn Awsaja stands up and gives his allegiance again. Zuhair bin Qayn stands up. Habib ibn Mazahir stands up, so much so that it became a very powerful and moving scene. And the Imam alayhi salam says, I have never heard or seen companions like you in my life. Yeah? Yani my father did not have these type of companions, my brother did not have these type of companions. And the fact that another uprising has never happened after that. People came to the Imams, they came to Imam Zainul Abidin, they came to Imam As-Sadiq, they came to Imam Al-Rida, but each time they wanted to give this allegiance and stand up and fight the usurped government, the Imams would always send them back. Yeah? And sometimes history tells us that the Imams would look at them and he says, when I look into your hearts, I do not see the type of Habib ibn Mazahir standing in front of me. I do not see Zuhair ibn Qayn standing in front of me. And this tells us, that with loyal companions, with loyal friends by your side, it feels like you have the whole world with you. Yeah? You feel the energy and the confidence to do anything that lays in front of you. And these companions are special. We can never, the thought should never cross our minds, that these were ordinary men. They were not ordinary men. Yeah? They were tested by the Imam. The Imam told them very frankly, that look, your lives will be lost, likely your properties will go, your families will be oppressed, everything that you know and that you have will likely be taken. And this is why very few came. Yeah? Everybody had an excuse. Well, I have this business deal, this, that, and that to do. But the few that remained with the Imam live on till today. When we address them in the ziyarat, we say something very beautiful about them. We recite in Ziyarat al-Warith, we say, طِبْتُمْ وَطَابَتِ الْأَرْضُ الَّتِي فِيهَا دُفِنْتُمْ أَحْسَنْتُمْ. We say to them, not only have you become beautiful, but you have beautified the earth which we are buried in. Yeah? This is the status of these companions, right? So our goal in our life, or one of the major lessons that we can learn from Karbala, is how can we be companions like that? How can we have the qualities that they had? And on the flip side, how can we also make sure that we have those type of friends in our lives? Friends with positive influences. Friends who will take me down the path towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and not friends who will take me away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So in today's discussion, inshallah, what we will be discussing is how the importance of friendship in Islam is what we will discuss first. And then we will discuss what are the qualities that we should be looking for in friends from an Islamic perspective. And then third, how can we get those type of friends? Yeah? And inshallah, in the course of this, we can examine the type of friends that we have in our lives. I normally, if I do this, I've done this before as an interactive discussion where I ask people a question, right? And I'll ask you, and I'm sorry that the ladies are not here, how many friends do we have? Yeah? Who here would say they have more than 10 friends? This is a question. Yeah? Only 2 of you have more than 10 friends? Yeah? I'm not talking about Facebook friends, where you have 600, mashallah. Yeah? More than 10 friends. Anybody? Yeah? How about 5 to 10 friends? Yeah? Ahsant. Less than 5? Yeah? Nobody? Yeah? Alhamdulillah, yeah? It's good. It's good to clean out our friends once in a while. We do spring cleaning every once in a while, isn't it? We have to do that with the friends that we have as well. We have to see if they're benefiting us or not. From an Islamic point of view, friendship is highly admired. Yeah? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to have friends. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala encourages companionship. And not just from an Islamic point of view, even if you look at, for example, science, or if you look at psychology, they put a lot of emphasis on the quality of friends that we have. Yeah, they describe the quality of friends. And I came across a survey which is very interesting. The survey was done by the Gallup organization. We know the Gallup organization does large surveys, right? And Tom Rath, I think, was the director of the Gallup organization, conducted a study in regards to the quality of friends that we have. And they say that if your best friend eats healthy, you are 5 times more likely to eat healthy. Yeah? If the people you hang out with eat healthy, you yourself are 5 times more likely to eat healthy. And that makes sense, right? We go out to lunch with our friends, we go out to dinner with our friends. If the right restaurant is picked, then we're likely to eat that food. But if our friends like different types of food, then we'll go with those type of foods as well. They say that married people say friendship is more than 5 times as important as physical intimacy within marriage. Yeah? We all know looks fade. Yeah? We all know things come, beauty comes and goes, right? But if that marriage has friendship with it, that marriage is 5 times more likely to last, right? So we see that there is a need that the companion that I select is one who I can get along with. We have things to talk about. We have interests together, right? And as we'll describe, friends are attracted to other friends not from a physical nature. They are attracted to each other from a spiritual nature, right? Souls are attracted to one another. And the souls are attracted to one another depending on the commonalities they share with each other. So this is a very important rule to put into mind when we discuss the type of friends that we have. Why am I attracted to this type of friend? It's likely because he is mirroring what I like. You understand? Yeah? Or do I need to repeat that? We'll come to it again, inshallah. Yeah? Another thing he says, if you have a best friend at work, you are 7 times more likely to feel engaged in your work. Right? You're more energized in your work because you have a companion to talk to. You're more likely to enjoy going to work. Furthermore, this survey says things which are very interesting. They say that friendship can actually extend life. They say that people with plenty of social support systems have stronger immune systems and are less likely to suffer from depression, anxiety, and other type of mental illnesses. Right? So if you have a group of friends, a constant group of friends, you are less likely to suffer from different anxiety or depression or other mental illnesses. And this is why, in an Islamic point of view, the congregation is highly emphasized, isn't it? That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to come together. He wants us to pray salah together. He wants us to come for Jum'ah together. All of these things have been prescribed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to create this community type environment where we don't feel lonely, where we are not alone. We have people we can get along with. Furthermore, this survey said that the Yale University, now I don't know when this was done, but it said that 194 heart attack patients, they did a study of 194 heart attack patients. Those who reported emotional support were 3 times more likely to be alive after 6 months than those who did not have emotional support, right? I mean, that's pretty, now we're talking about life and death and the fact that friends can actually help increase the life of a human being. On the flip side of it, when they interviewed those who had lost their jobs, had lost their apartments, had broken marriages, a lot of times the result or the answer to why they were going through this spiral of negativity, they say is because of either poor quality of friends or lack of friends altogether. Poor quality of friends meaning that these friends took me down this wrong path, or they did not assist me in coming out of where I was, or a lack of friends altogether. There was no support system there. It's very interesting because this is exactly what Islam says. Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. He says, Man la sadiqa lahu, la dhukhra lahu. Yeah? One who does not have friends lacks a bare necessity, the Imam says. Yeah? So friendship in Islam is something which I require to be a successful Muslim. Companions are things that are a necessity. Yeah? What is necessity? Necessity is like the clothes I wear are necessary, isn't it? Yeah? The food I eat is necessary. The salah I recite is necessary. All of these things, like it, good, loyal friends, right, are a necessity for a Muslim to be a good Muslim, right? From that perspective, or for a human being to be successful in their lives. This subject is important enough for even God to mention it in the Quran. When God mentions something in the Quran, it's a very big deal, right? There are only 6,236 verses, right, in the Quran. Some say up and down of that number. That means if God even took one verse to address an issue, that's a big deal. He could have talked about something else in that verse, right? I mean, if you have 6,000 lines to write something, your whole entire memoir, you're going to pick the words very carefully of what you write. So whatever subject you address, right, is going to be something which is important, right? It's not something like, well, he only mentioned it once, must not be that important, right? That's silly, isn't it? That's what people say about khums, yeah? Zakat is mentioned 12 times. Khums is mentioned once, it must not be that important. Yeah? God mentioned it in the Quran. Yeah, that's important enough, right? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, out of all the things that He could talk about, talks about friendship in the Quran. Yeah, and the importance of friends, and how on the day of judgment, the type of friends that I select will either be a source of pride for me, yeah, a source of success for me, or the type of friends that I select are going to be a form of regret for me on the day of judgment. I will literally regret. And the verses we read are very interesting. It comes from Surah Al-Furqan, verses 27 through 29. These verses have an apparent meaning and then a hidden meaning. We'll stick with the apparent meaning. For those whose minds can go deeper, they'll understand the apparent meaning or the hidden meaning of this verse. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَيَوْمَ يَعَضُّ الظَّالِمُ عَلَى يَدَيْهِ. Yeah? He says the day when the wrongdoer will bite his hand. Right? Now this is a literal, when does somebody bite their hand? Like somebody goes, when do they do that? When they regret something, don't they? Yeah? We may not necessarily do that exact movement, but that is a sign of regret. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, a day when the wrongdoer will bite his hand. So it's a day when the wrongdoer will see his final result. Yeah? وَيَوْمَ يَعَضُّ الظَّالِمُ عَلَى يَدَيْهِ يَقُولُ يَا لَيْتَنِ اتَّخَذْتُ مَعَ الرَّسُولِ سَبِيلًا. The wrongdoer will say, I wish I had followed the Prophet's way. Yeah? Ya waylata laytani lam attakhidh fulanan khalila. He says, woe to me, I wish I had not taken so-and-so as my friend. Yeah? The regret that God is describing here, is a person who took somebody else other than the Prophet as his friend and as his guide. And because of that, the regret is such that on the day of judgment, he bites his hand and says, I wish I had picked the Prophet's path and not this other way. لَقَدْ أَضَلَّنِي عَنِ الذِّكْرِ بَعْدَ إِذْ جَاءَنِي وَكَانَ الشَّيْطَانُ لِلْإِنسَانِ خَذُولًا. He says that he certainly had led me astray from the reminder after it had come to me. And shaitan is a deserter of man. What we understand from these verses are very profound conclusions. The first is, again, as we had mentioned, friendship will be a source of pride or a source of regret for me on the day of judgment. Yeah? I will regret the choices that I made, or I will be pleased with the choices that I made. Second thing that we can conclude from this, whoever it is that I pick as a friend, right? There are only two paths that are available. There is one path that will be the path of the Prophet, and there is another path that will be the path of shaitan. Yeah? There is no other path. So whoever I select as a friend will either take me down the Prophet's path towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or whoever I select as a friend will take me down shaitan's path. Because there is no doubt, none of us can sit here and doubt and say that friends don't have an influence on us. Yeah? We know the level of influence that friends have on us, right? The fact that our kids, for example, spend more than 8 to 10 hours a day with their friends and only 2 with their parents before they go to sleep. There is no doubt that the influence that these friends have on them, we can clearly see that in their personality, right? The way they dress, the way they talk, the language that they use, right? If my friends are listening to music, the chances that I listen to music are that much greater. Yeah? The fact that my friends will do drugs, the chances that I will do drugs are that much greater. The fact that my friends drink alcohol, the chances that I drink alcohol are that much greater. The fact that my kids or my friends watch pornography, the chances that I watch pornography are that much greater. Right? All of this, whatever my friends do, that's in the negative end. On the positive end, if my friends have good akhlaq, that will come off on me. If my friends don't watch inappropriate things, that will rub off on me. Right? And we see this clearly. Even if my friends, let's say, drink alcohol, and I don't drink alcohol. I maintain my standards and I don't drink alcohol. The fact that they are my friends who drink alcohol and I tolerate them and I hang out with them, it means that the sin of alcohol is not as grave as I consider it to be. I don't think it's that bad. Because I hang out with it. Yeah? If my friends watch pornography and I don't do it, to me, it's not going to be as bad as God wants it for me to think it's going to be, because it's watered down now. Yeah? Because I hang around that, right? So for example, if there's a wedding and there's music being played at that wedding, because my friends all listen to music, well, he's a good friend of mine, I won't listen to music, I'll just go. Yeah? We begin to compromise on our religion. Yeah? I'm willing to then go and hang out at a restaurant with alcohol. I'm not drinking alcohol. I'll have a bottle of water. It'll be clearly visible that I'm not. But the fact that that environment is not upsetting me, it shows that the influence my friends have had on me with their conduct. Yeah? It doesn't necessarily mean that I will do those things. But the sin of it, yeah, is no longer upsetting me. Right? And even if you take even another example, homosexuality. Right? If, for example, I hang out with people who practice homosexuality, right? I may not do it, yeah, inshallah I'll never do it, right? But the fact that the sin of homosexuality will no longer seem as grave to me as God has described it in the Quran, right? You see the influence of friends. It's not necessarily that I will do the exact same thing. Right? But the fact that I will then compromise on my religion, the fact that I will allow these things to come, and eventually it's going to creep into my life. Yeah? Eventually, there's no doubt about that. Right? Eventually, there will be a time when these vices, drugs, alcohol, pornography, whatever it is, will be in my house. Yeah? Will be in my house. This is the way it works. Right? This is why Amr bil Ma'ruf and Nahi anil Munkar are wajibat for us. Yeah? We stop these things from coming our way. We make changes in our lives so that they don't come in our path. And this is something that has constantly been advised to us. This is very important. That it's not just for these youth that I'm talking about, even for us as adults, right? The quality of friends I have will make a huge difference in my life, right? If my friends are friends who constantly use dirty languages, eventually that dirty language will not affect me anymore. Right? But for somebody who doesn't use filthy language, when somebody drops a bomb, yeah, a filthy bomb, it'll shock you. It'll shock your system, yeah, because you're like, whoa, where'd that language come from, right? But if you're constantly listening to it, if I watch movies with this language, it's not going to affect me anymore. And so from an Islamic perspective, right, we have been told by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through Him and through His awliya and His prophets that be very careful the type of friends that you select. There's a tradition that we get, it is reported from Anna Sulaiman alayhi salam قال لا تحكموا على رجل بشيء حتى تنظروا إلى من يصاحب فإنما يعرف الرجل بأشكاله وأقرانه. He says, do not pass a judgment on any human being until you see who their friends are. Yeah? Do not pass a judgment on any human being unless you see who their friends are. Why? Because a human being resembles who he keeps as friends. Yeah? A human being resembles who he keeps as friends. There's another tradition which is also very beautiful. I was debating whether I should recite it. But it comes from Amirul Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. He says, فَمَنِ اشْتَبَهَ عَلَيْكُمْ أَمْرُهُ وَلَمْ يُعْرِفُوا دِينَهُ فَانْظُرُوا إِلَىٰ خُلَطَائِهِ. He says, when you come across somebody and you don't know anything about them or you don't know much about their religion, this is also a very good rule for those, for example, who are looking to get their kids married, right? If a proposal comes or you're sending a proposal, look to see, this is like, if you don't know much about them, this is what happens, right? We get calls, what's his story? Does he come to mosque? We don't ask, who are his friends? Yeah? What kind of friends does he keep? Does he have good friends or bad friends, right? When parents come to me and they say, what do you know about this person? I say, go and find them on Facebook. Yeah? Kids today will put everything on Facebook. You will know about them on Facebook. Whether they are okay with mixed gatherings or not, whether they are okay with all of these different things that are happening, you can see these things from their posts, right? So this is one way I tell them, go find out who their friends are. So the Imam alayhi salam says, فَمَنِ اشْتَبَهَ عَلَيْكُمْ أَمْرُهُ وَلَمْ تَعْرِفُوا دِينَهُ فَانْظُرُوا إِلَىٰ خُلَطَائِهِ فَإِنْ كَانُوا أَهْلَ الدِّينِ اللَّهِ فَهُوَ عَلَىٰ دِينِ اللَّهِ وَإِن لَمْ يَكُونُوا عَلَى دِينِ اللَّهِ فَلَا حَظَّ لَهُ fi dinillah. Ajib. He says that if you come across somebody and you don't know anything about them, look to see who his friends are, who he mixes with, khulata, who he mixes with. If they are people of religion, then he's a person of religion. If there is nothing religious about them, he says there's nothing religious about him. Subhanallah. This is our Imam saying. If I said it, you can ignore it. We can't ignore what the Imam says. He says, look to see who their friends are. And this is very important, right? For parents, for community leaders, for anybody. We have to be careful the type of friends that our kids have kept. And for those of us who have become older and have seen the destination that we have reached to, it'd be interesting to go back and revisit your life or revisit my life to say that where I ended up, what kind of friends did I have? And likely the result that I have had or the result I have found is because of the type of friends that I had kept. And this is something that we have to be very cognizant about. We have to be very careful about the type of friends our kids will bring home. There's nothing wrong with asking your kids, let me see, have your friends come home. Your friends want to go out, have them come home. Let them hang out at home. See who your kids' friends are. Be comfortable with them. And if not, we have to put a stop to it immediately. The consequences are too grave. We can't act like, well, it's okay. They'll learn their mistakes. I wish we didn't have to make the same mistakes over and over again. There's a very beautiful letter that we're going to be discussing parts of it tomorrow. It's letter number 31 of Nahj al-Balagha. If you remember this number, letter number 31 of Nahj al-Balagha, it is written obviously by the first Imam, and it is addressed to the second Imam, right? And it is one of the longest letters or sermons in Nahj al-Balagha. The Imam alayhi salam is writing right after the Battle of Siffin. He's leaving Siffin and he stops at a place and he begins to pen a letter to his son. Since I have left Hawza 4 years ago, there has not been a more moving or influential lesson or something that I have gained than this letter number 31 of Nahj al-Balagha. It has moved me and it has changed the way I see things. The Imam begins this letter very beautifully. He says in this letter, from a father who's about to die, who's become old, who has seen the times change, to the son who has his whole life ahead of him. So this is a letter of advice that the Imam alayhi salam is giving. And in this letter of advice, the Imam alayhi salam says, the reason I am writing this letter to you is that I don't want you to make the same mistakes that I did in my life. Learn from my mistakes. There's no need to learn the hard way. Sometimes we always have this in our mind, well, they'll learn the hard way, they'll come back. What if we can eliminate that entire process? Why do we have to hit rock bottom before we rise? Why can't we just hold each other up and let them rise? Why do they have to come down before they rise? We have all the experiences. That is the entire purpose of studying history, right? Where we learn from previous mistakes so that I don't make the same mistake that my forefathers did, that I did. Because the worst thing, and I say this from my heart to your heart, the worst thing, worse than any type of pain in life, is the pain of regret. Is the pain of regret, where in my life, in my childhood, in my youth, or even adults sometimes, they regret the mistakes that they made in life. Right? They regret, most importantly, violating and going against the laws of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. See, the regret will only come about once I have a connection with God. Once I have a connection with God and I re-examine my life, I will ask myself, how could I have gone against Him this entire time? How could I have so easily violated and gone and done something haram against Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? We've discussed this, right? The reason I can do something haram is because I don't know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If I knew God, I would not do something haram against Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? So the tawbah which is a return to God, the very first step of tawbah is regret. An-nadamu tawbah. Regret is tawbah. So if we can eliminate regret, life would be so much better. Life would be so much better. Wherever I go and I get an opportunity to speak to a younger crowd, those who are not on their phones and are listening, it's important, yeah, that you listen to that which has been said, that which your adults tell us. We listen, and then we're like, okay, whatever. I'm going to do whatever I want. I'm going to learn the hard way. It's not worth it. There's no other way I can tell you. It's not worth it. There's nothing positive that comes about from this type of self-experiments. So a way to control that, a way to eliminate these regrets, a way to eliminate going against Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is by making sure that the type of friends that we keep are those that will take me towards the Prophet. Yeah? That will take me towards the Prophet. And to be quite honest, right? As you get older, as I got older, the number of friends that I have became smaller and smaller. Yeah? There was no need for that many friends anymore. Yeah? There was no need for friends who I had in college, who we had many commonalities at that time, but today we have no commonality. We don't share anything together, right? Because remember, right? What I said in the very beginning, there is a tradition which says souls are attracted to souls like it. The ruh is attracted to a ruh which is similar to it, right? So if I look at the type of friends that I have, and if these friends, for example, go to bars on Thursday, they use profanity, they watch inappropriate things, all of these things, and even though I may not do it, there is something which is attracting me to that. This is why I keep them as friends. Yeah? This is why they're still part of my circle, right? Because souls are attracted to souls, right? And this is why the souls of believers are automatically attracted to souls of believers, right? You look at what's happening right now in Karbala, right? Where you have, let's say they say 17 to 20 million people giving everything for each other. Right? They'll give their food, they'll wash their socks, they'll clean their feet, they'll do everything for each other. They don't know each other, but their souls have attracted to one another of the love of Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. Yeah? This is the beauty of it. This is the beauty. I remember in my first year of university, not my first year actually, I changed my major. When my first year of criminal justice, right? It was a large auditorium class, about 300 students or so, and we come outside and I met some guy on the phone, and he looked Middle Eastern, so we just started talking random stuff, right? First day of class, you hardly speak to anybody, right? You just kind of keep to yourself, you say hellos. And as we were walking back to class, I asked him, what's your name? And he told me, my name is Abbas. And he asked me, what's your name? And I told him, my name is Jaffer. The very first thing we did, we hugged each other. I didn't even know him. Yeah? I didn't even know him, because Abbas is only kept by one who is a lover of the Ahlul Bayt. Yeah? Jafar is only kept by one who's the lover of the Ahlul Bayt. Yeah? Our souls automatically attracted to one another because there was that similarity of iman that was there. When we keep our friends, it is very important that we try to see what type of friends we are, because the qualities that they have are attracting each other. Now, what I'm not saying is that we should only have Muslim friends. That's not what I'm saying. Right? Some of the worst influential friends that we could have are Muslims. Yeah? Because when I see a Muslim person not wearing hijab, when I see a Muslim person eating non-haram food, when I see a Muslim person listening to music and doing all of these things, that is far worse than one who is not a Muslim doing those things. Yeah? Because a non-Muslim's laws don't govern him with those things, but a Muslim's laws do govern him. So when I see that a Muslim so easily breaks the laws of God, yeah, I am more inclined towards breaking the laws of God as well, because it's not a big deal anymore, right? So what we are saying is that the friends that we keep don't have to be Muslim. The quality or the guideline that has been described in the Holy Quran is very simple. Your friends are of two types: those that will take you down the Prophet's way, and those that will take you down Shaitan's way. These are the only two. And those who take me down the Prophet's way don't have to be Muslim. Yeah? Their akhlaq could be the akhlaq of the Prophet. Their conduct could be the conduct of the Prophet. One of the most influential friends that I've ever had, we had many gatherings here a long time ago. Remember that church who used to come here? The brother who was the leader of that was a brother named Chris. I'm sure you remember him, yeah? Chris was more of a Muslim than some of my Muslim, or most of my Muslim friends, yeah? Whenever we went out, it was a halal restaurant. We went out to watch movies. I kid you not, at the movie, yeah, an inappropriate scene came on. This guy, a white Christian, yeah, who, in our world, we meet these people everywhere. He looked down and closed his eyes during the inappropriate scene. Wallah, I don't know Muslims who would do that. Yeah, I don't know Muslims who would do that. That was inspirational. Yeah, that was inspiration. That was somebody who is taking me closer to the Prophet. We don't have to be the same religion. Yeah, but people who take me down to the Prophet's way. Right? These are the type of friends that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to have. And because at the end of the day, like we've been saying, our attraction is going to be to people we have similarities with. There's a tradition from Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. Allahumma salli ala. Al-mar'u ala dini khalilihi. فَلْيَنْظُرْ أَحْدُكُمْ مَنْ يُخَالِلْ. He says that man follows the same creed or the same religion as his friends. Yeah? Man follows the same religion as his friends. He's not talking about Islam. Yeah? He's talking about our characteristics. He's talking about the way we talk, the way we dress, the way we see things, the way we view societal problems. He says that man is at the same creed as his friends. So be careful. The Prophet says, be careful who you take as a friend. Yeah? Be careful of who you take as a friend. So we come to step 2. Yeah? We said step 1 is describing what Islam considers of friendship. We have discussed this. Step 2, how do we know who to keep and select as friends? Yeah? What are the qualities that this person must have for me to take that person as my friend? Right? And there's a very beautiful hadith from our 6th Imam Jaffer-Arbaeen-Los alayhi salam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. He says, لا تكون الصداقة إلا بحدودها فمن كانت فيه هذه الحدود أو شيء منها فانسبه إلى الصداقة. He says friendship can only succeed. Yeah? Look, this is very beautiful. It says friendship can only be successful if the conditions and the limits of friendship are fulfilled. Right? So there's a responsibility, two-way responsibility when it comes to friendship. So it says friendship is only going to be fulfilled when its conditions are fulfilled. And he who fulfills some of them or all of them. First he says, and he who fulfills all. But then he says, or even some of them. Right? Because if we're going to look for all these conditions, wallah, we're not going to have any friends. Yeah? He says one who meets all of these conditions, or even some of these conditions, then befriend them. Yeah? Then take them as a sadiq. But, he says, وَمَنْ لَمْ يَكُنْ فِيهِ شَيْءٌ مِّنْهَا فَلَا تَنْسُبْهُ إِلَىٰ شَيْءٍ مِّنَ الصَّدَاقَةِ. He says, but if somebody does not meet any of these criteria, do not offer any friendship to that person. Yeah? Do not offer any friendship to these type of people. So what are these conditions? He mentions 5 conditions of friendship. Yeah? The first one, he says, and we'll just do it in English for the sake of time, is that he should treat you in public the same as he treats you in private. Yeah? The first condition of friendship is that the friend should treat you the same in public as they treat you in private. Yeah? Now this is pretty cool, right? Because what does that mean? It means from both sides, right? There could be, for example, somebody who calls me on the phone because they need something from me. They're very nice. They talk to me very nicely. They treat me with respect. But when I go out in public with them, they're quick to make fun of me in front of people. Yeah? They're quick to drop sarcastic jokes about me in front of people. We know people like this, right? That when they need something from me, they'll be very nice, they'll be very humble. But in public, yeah, they're quick to make fun of me. They might use what I talk to them about in front of other people, right? This is one way of understanding that. The second way of understanding that is that if, for example, we're sitting in a group of people, and because obviously in a group of people, nobody will be rude to one another, right? So in a group of people, he's very nice to me. He asks me, how's it going? But when I call him for something, he acts he acts rudely. He acts whatever it is, right? From either side, if you know somebody who treats you differently in private and he treats you differently in public, that should not be a friend of ours at all. Yeah? They should be consistent, in other words. Consistency. Remember that in Islam. If we want success, consistency. Consistently good, not consistently bad. Consistently good, right? Don't just do something one time. Keep doing it. And if you keep doing it, don't stop doing it. Consistency. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to see us consistently at the path that we are in. There is what's called afa. In Arabic, it is called afat. It is basically a bane. You know what a bane is? I had to look up what a bane means, right? A bane is something which is harmful to something else. Okay? And if those were our Batman friends, that makes great sense what bane means at that time then, okay? Bane is something which is harmful to something else. You know what? Everything has a bane. Yeah? Everything has an afa. Afatul ilm, that which spoils your knowledge is arrogance. Yeah? That which spoils your beauty is this. That which spoils this. Everything has something which spoils it. You know what spoils your worship? Afatul ibadah, a break in ibadah. Yeah? When you take a break in ibadah, that will spoil my ibadah because it'll be very difficult for me to go back to it. Yeah? So if you have a habit, for example, of reciting Salatul Layl, and then you go on vacation and you say, on vacation I don't have to recite Salatul Layl. Yeah? When you come back from that vacation, it will be very difficult for you to restart it. Yeah? If you have the habit of doing wudu every time, and then you get sick, for example, and when you're sick or have a cold, you don't want to put water on you, it'll be very difficult for you to return to that because the human being is preconditioned to be consistent, to have the same pattern over and over and over again. So it's either going to be a pattern of good or it's going to be a pattern of bad. Consistency, consistently good, is what I've found to be the most successful benchmark for anybody in Islam, is that they consistently work towards this path. So this is, you want a friend who is going to be consistent. The second is that your source of pride is a source of pride for him, and your source of shame is a source of shame for him. Yeah? Look at the conditions are remarkable, right? So what that means is that he or she shares in your happiness and they share in your grief. Yeah? Something is a sense of pride for you. So what that also means is that, for example, if my religion is a sense of pride for me, my friends will be those who will encourage and want me to fulfill those obligations. Yeah? It will be a sense of pride for them. And again, we don't need Muslim friends to accomplish this. Right? In university, if your friends know that you are a person who recites salah daily, I promise you they will remind you of reciting salah. If your co-workers see you at this time go and pray, they will come and ask you, hey, did you go and pray today already? These are the type of people when your source of pride is a source of pride for them as well. And that which is a source of shame for you, will also be a source of shame. So they will never encourage you to do something haram. Because it is a source of shame for you. That's the second condition. The third is that neither friendship with others nor wealth should render them envious of you. So if we're friends and then I make another friend, they don't come to me like, hey, why are you friends with that person? Don't be friends with that. No, they never do that. They never insult you in that manner. They have that much trust in you that you would pick a good friend, right? And same way with wealth. If you become wealthy or they become wealthy, it doesn't change them with you. So if you go out to dinner, right, and you all split the bill, but now you've become wealthy, they say, hi, you pay for it now today. They've changed who they are because of your success. So the Imam says that they don't change. You see, this consistency keeps coming again. They are consistent all the time. That's the third condition. The fourth condition is that they must not prevent you from reaching or obtaining your capacity. What you have the capacity for as an individual, they do not restrict that from you. So they encourage you, right? And the beautiful thing is, none of us know what our capacity is. Yeah? Our capacity is an unknown. What my potential is unknown. I can attain greatness. My friends should be those who constantly encourage me to attain greatness. Right? From a spiritual point of view, from a physical, from a secular point of view, my friend should encourage me to go for that degree. My friend should encourage me to go for that promotion. My friend should encourage me to go recite salah. Yeah? How many friends like that do we have? Yeah, really. If you're hanging out with them at their house, like, hey, let's go recite Salatul Layl. Yeah? I don't think that's ever happened to me. Yeah? And if it happens to you, that's an amazing friend to have. They're encouraging you to reach that potential growth of yours. So that's the fourth, right? And I know you've memorized them, right? Because outside I'm going to ask you, what are the four, okay? Because I see that you're locking it in, inshallah. The fifth, and the Imam says this sums up all the other qualities, is that they must not give up on you in time of misfortune. That when you are going through difficulty, and when you turn around, they are right there by your side. They're not there when things are good, but when things are bad, you can't find them. Yeah? They are always there. They're consistently there. Subhanallah, yeah? Consistency. These friends are consistently good for you, right? And when we look at the tragedy of Karbala, they never left Imam Hussein. Yeah? Never left Imam Hussein. This is why Imam said, I have never seen companions like you. Yeah? History will never see companions like you again. And I promise you, I promise you can take this. On the Day of Judgment, you can say, Jaffer said this. That if we become the type of companions that were Imam Hussein's companions, our 12th Imam would come tomorrow. Yeah? He would come tomorrow. Yeah? The Imam is not waiting for more zulm to happen. Look at the world we live in. There is enough zulm that has happened in this world for 10 lifetimes. Yeah? The Imam's not waiting for more bloodshed. The Imam's not waiting. The Imam is waiting for us. Yeah? He's waiting for us to wake up, to have some common sense, to realize the importance of religion, yeah? To realize the value of coming closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We are so caught up with 100 different things that God is our last priority. Yeah? The Imam is waiting for us to be the type of companions that were there for Imam Hussein alayhi salam. And we come to the last point, and it's just a one-liner. How do we find friends like this? Yeah? How do you think we find friends like this? We become like that. Yeah? We must have these 5 qualities. Yeah? If we go after these 5 qualities, and whoever we have relationships with, we help them, we are consistent with them, we encourage them, we're there with them, then naturally the one that I befriend will have the same qualities. Why? Because souls are attracted to one another. Yeah? The type of soul that I have will be attracted to the type of soul who is my friend. And if I have these qualities, then I will find the same qualities in the people that I befriend. Yeah? Inshallah, we pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He allows us this information to come to our hearts and to guide us, inshallah. Tonight is the night of Arba'een. If we can turn off the lights, please. Tonight is the night of Arba'een. And it is a very solemn night. It is a very solemn day tomorrow morning as well. It is said that for many reasons, including the sermons of Imam as-Sajjad, including the sermons of Sayyidah Zainab alayhi salam, for whatever reasons it was, we find that the uprising in Sham forced Yazid to release the prisoners, to release the family of the Prophet. And after they were released, they were escorted out of Sham. And history tells us that they reached a particular destination on the way out of Sham, where the paths were now going to be split into 2. There was a path that would take them to Medina, and there was a path that would take them to Karbala. And at this time, the guides asked Imam as-Sajjad alayhi salam that which path, where would you like to go? The Imam of the time comes to Sayyidah Zainab alayhi salam. And he says, Ya Ammati, we now have 2 destinations in front of us. Tell us where you would like us to go. And at this time, Zainab says, tell them to take us to Karbala. It is time that we now lament and we weep for that which had happened to our family members. Because remember, one of the most tragic aspects of this entire journey from Karbala to Kufa, from Kufa to Sham, was that the family was not even allowed to cry for their dead deceased. Imagine that build-up, imagine that pain in one's heart when they are not even allowed to lament and weep for those of their family who had been killed in the lands of Karbala. It is said before the family reached Karbala, that Jabir ibn Abdullah al-Ansari, along with his companion Atiyah, were the first ones to do the ziyarat of Arba'een for Aba Abdullah alayhi salam. Atiyah reports that Jabir, when we came to Karbala, had nearly lost his eyesight and had already become blind. And as we approached Karbala, he said to me, Atiyah, take me to the river Furat. It is said Jabir went to the river Furat, and he says that we performed our ghusl in the river Furat. And then we wore our clothes and we applied perfume over our whole bodies. He says, in every step that Jabir took, he was doing the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala until we reached the grave of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, and he tells me, Ya Atiyah, make me touch the grave of Hussein. It is said Jabir touched the grave of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, and as soon as he touched the grave of Aba Abdullah, he fell into a state of unconsciousness. Atiyah says, I sprinkled water on the face of Jabir. Jabir woke up, and as soon as Jabir woke up, he said, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein. And then he paused for a moment and there was no answer. And then Jabir says in a voice full of solemn and tears, Ya Hussein, Habibun la yujibu Habibahu. He says, how is it that the beloved does not answer the call of his lover when he calls him? But he says, how can you answer my call when your vein to veins have been slit with a knife and your head has been decapitated from your body? فَأَشْهَدُ أَنَّكَ ابْنُ النَّبِيِّينَ وَابْنُ سَيِّدِ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ وَخَامِسُ أَصْحَابِ الْكِسَاءِ. Imam al-Sajjad, it is said by Atiyah, that at this time he noticed black flags coming from the horizon. He informs Jabir, he says, Jabir, I see black flags coming towards us. Jabir says, Atiyah, go and make sure this is not the army of Ibn Ziyad. Atiyah goes, Atiyah comes back to Jabir. He begins to slap his face. He says, Jabir, stand. Jabir, stand. Imam al-Sajjad is here. Jabir, stand and offer your condolences to the son of Aba Abdullah. It is that Jabir embraces Imam al-Sajjad. He says, Sayyidi, Azamallahu lakal ajra bi abika al-Hussein. He says, I offer you my condolences, O Imam Sajjad, on the martyrdom of your father Hussein. Imam Sajjad embraces Jabir. He says, Ya Jabir, ha huna qutila Abu Abdullah. He says, Oh Jabir, this is the place that my father was martyred. Ya Jabir, ha huna qutila atfalu abi. Ya Jabir, ha huna qutila rijaluna. Ha hiya subhiya nisauna. He says, Jabir, this is where our family was martyred. This is where my brother was shot with an arrow. This is where the spear hit the chest of Aliyun al-Akbar. This is where the tents burned down. This is where we were taken as prisoners. It is a Jabir, and Imam Sajjad shed tears at that moment. And then Jabir was told by Sajjad alayhi salam, Ya Jabir, it is time for you to now move back. For the ladies of the family of the Prophet want to come and pay their respects to the family. It is said the first lady that approached the grave of Imam al-Hussein was Zainab. Zainab approaches the grave of her brother. She throws herself on this grave. She says, Wa akha, wa وابن نبي المصطفى وابن فاطمة الزهراء. He said the emotion of Zainab was so strong that all the women began to cry and to chant, and then one by one the ladies began to come forward and give their eulogies. It is said Farwa comes and recites the eulogy of Qasim. She recalls how on the night of Ashura, when the Imam alayhi salam had informed the companions that they would all be slaughtered tomorrow, there was a young boy standing by the edge of the khayma. This young boy comes to Imam Hussein. He says, Ya Amma, am I going to be killed tomorrow? Imam says, Ya Qasim, kayfa al-mawta indak? He said, Fika ahla min al-asal, ya Aba Abdullah. He says, death with you is sweeter than honey for me. It is at this time that Layla comes and recites the eulogy of Ali al-Akbar. She recalls how it was the death of Ali al-Akbar that broke the heart of Imam al-Hussein. It was the death of Abbas which broke the back of Hussein. But the death of Akbar broke the heart of Aba Abdullah. She must have recalled how difficult it was for Hussein to let Ali al-Akbar go. Historians tell us that when he gave him the permission, Ali al-Akbar got on his horse. As he was riding towards the battlefield, he could hear footsteps from behind him. He could hear footsteps from behind him. Ali al-Akbar turns around. He says, Ya Abata, allow me to go. Imam Hussein says, Akbar, wait, if only you had children, you would know how difficult this is for me at this moment. And then Rabab comes. Rabab narrates the story of Ali al-Asghar. One by one, the ladies told their stories. And then Zainab looks towards Sajjad. She says, my son, now take us to the grave of Abul Fadl al-Abbas. Take us to the grave of Abul Fadl al-Abbas so that we can pay our respects to Abul Fadl. We can only imagine what they were telling Abul Fadl. We can only imagine how they complained to Abul Fadl. Ya Abbas, if you were there, they would not snatch off our niqab. Ya Abbas, if you were there, they would not tie chains around our necks. Ya Abbas, if you were there, they would not whip us from behind. Ya Abbas, my brothers and sisters, Mu'mineen, my heart asks me, how did they tell Abbas that Sakina is no longer there? How did they inform Abbas that they left the apple of his eye, the Qurrata A'yunihi, fi Sham, in the dungeons of Sham? Fatima Hussein. Sadat Karbala, Sadat